Hi, good morning. This is Gayatri Jayaraman. Welcome to Shamaha. Those of you who've been logging in on a daily basis, it's really nice to see you. Your comments, questions, and suggestions really help me think of, new ways in which to reach out to you with more information. So please do keep them coming. Those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you find something here to benefit you in your daily life. Today, I wanted to deal with the issue that a lot of us have been facing, that is how to cope with job loss. Right now, we're in a phase where they're telling us the economy is picking up. However, we can see all around us that there are companies that are downsizing, divisions that are shutting down, workforces are becoming leaner, pays are being cut. We don't know if we'll get the promotions we were promised, the rise in pay, whereas our expenses remain the same. We still have the same EMIs to pay. And we're seeing the traditional enterprises, places that people have put in 15 to 20 years of work, have just overnight, shut shop or modified their form, leaving a lot of people who thought that it was a bankable thing, suddenly with the rug pulled out from under them and no place to go. So it's really hard at this time to know what to do. Well, the very first thing that you need to do is first grieve your loss. We tend to grieve only at times of death, when we lose a parent, when we lose a friend, when we lose a loved one. And only then is it considered acceptable to cry, to take a day off or more, to sort of sit and mourn, to think of them, to have our eyes fill up with tears, to be able to recount those stories. And the rest of it we sort of push under as a part of living, part of life. And we tell ourselves we need to get on with it. Okay, theek hai, this happened, it's difficult. What to do? It's happening to everybody, not just me. Let's move on. It's very important to grieve loss of any sort, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a separation, whether it's empty nest, sending the child off, whether it is, family and loved ones moving away across continents, and whether it's a job. These may seem like little things, but these are the things that become the sort of bricks and mortar of our lives. These are which we've based our identity on. These are the things that allow us to tell each other who we are. So you say, oh, he's the accountant, or she is the writer, or, they've been in that company for 20 years, so they've become identified. Some of us even have that name attached to us. Oh, who? SBI Raman. Yes, yes, I know him. You know, and these are the ways in which we make these elements part of our long-term identity. So it is very necessary to grieve this kind of loss, which means to tell the stories, which means to sit with that feeling of anger, disappointment, feeling let down, feeling that this loss was unfair, that something was taken away from us. Because even the things that were promised to us within a job, they become, once we take it for granted that this is a surety, um, we build hopes, dreams, ambitions, we build our directions based on it. We sort of look at the future with a sense of stability. And when that is taken away from us, we feel the ground shake. and we become uncertain within ourselves. So when we grieve, we are not only grieving the loss of a material thing, we're grieving of everything in us that was a part of it. It could be a social system, it could be a setup of friends, of familiar faces, people that we didn't even know we considered as friends, that we have taken, for granted for years. It could be a routine. You put your bag, you go, you get a cup of coffee, you stand in the balcony, you drink it, then you start the day. It could be, just small things, the people you say hi to, the familiarity of a space. These are all things that contribute to a sense of comfort, a sense of identity, and a sense of accomplishment. So when we mourn, we don't just mourn the loss of everything that is leaving us, we also mourn the loss of what we are leaving behind. So it is necessary to give ourselves space and time to sit with those feelings, to feel like, a death has occurred, to allow a release of anger, of disappointment, of frustration, of fear, of who am I without this, to allow your thoughts to go into that space, to cry if you need to scream if you need to punch a pillow if you have to, get the aggression out, to go for a long walk, and to just feel like the heaviness of this life upon us. And it's necessary to feel that, because the more you push these kind of feelings down and don't allow yourself time to deal with them and keep telling people, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, these are going to be pushed down and manifest in certain forms of anger, irritation, bodily sensations. You can get aches, pains, migraines. These can go into your heart. These can leave you with frozen shoulder, fibroid cysts. These manifest in so many different ways for each of us. So physical pains, psychological manifestations, stress levels. These are all, things that this kind of repression and suppression contribute to. So the very first step is absolutely to sit with your emotions. I would say, give yourself a couple of days, a few days, to feel all the loss that you are feeling. And then afterwards, if there are things you have to get back to, and this is sort of getting in the way, allot yourself a time. Say half an hour in the morning. Fix a certain time where you, maybe just after you meditate or just before you meditate, where you just sit and contemplate. Make a list of the ways in which, um, you enjoyed that place. You enjoyed the people, you enjoyed the profile, you enjoyed what it made of you, and list the things that the workplace contributed to you as well as what you contributed to the workplace. It could have been a wonderful period in your life, and it's necessary to look at that in its fullest form and to embrace it. The second aspect is, you are not your loss, right? It's very important to remember this, to sort of look at yourself as somebody who existed before this job happened to you, this designation, this work profile happened to you, and somebody who will exist after. The job is an interim, right? It could be a wonderful profile. It could have brought out the best in you. It could have given you your dream opportunities. Maybe you discovered things about yourself that you didn't know while you were in it. For instance, some of us, acquire skills like public speaking or traveling on our own. Things that, we didn't realize we had in us until the job brought it out in us. And it's very necessary to appreciate all that. But it's also important to remember that those were aspects that were in you. You just didn't know them, right? So it's not that the job was something that gave you something you didn't have. You can't bring out something you don't already have. The job is a beautiful instrument, a catalyst by which you sort of realize those aspects of yourself. But essentially, the person who became that job profile, who sort of took on that identity, is you. So those aspects that it brought out were in you. So I've said this before, it's one of my most favorite sayings, that the bird has faith in his wings and not in the branch. So when the branch falls away, the bird is able to lift himself. So just recognizing that you were a person who existed with certain qualities before this all began, and you will continue to exist after it all ends. And now that this beautiful instrument has sort of brought out these aspects in you, it is up to you what you can do with them. It's your toolkit, it's your value system, it's your skill base, it's your application and execution. So in a way, to realize that you are greater than this job, that this job was an aspect of your life, was a moment of your life, was a phase of your life. It was one side of you. Just like this job brought out certain aspects of you, another job is going to bring out another side of you that you didn't have. After 20 years in journalism, I really didn't think I was going to be any sort of an entrepreneur. But here I am setting up my own clinic, doing my own writing, running my own finances, and looking to different aspects like, do I need to register the company, do I need to trademark my thing, do I have to copyright this, do I should I hire somebody to manage my social media? There's a whole different way of thinking that a different way of functioning brings out in us. And you start thinking in terms of long-term investment, short-term investment. So let us not at any point, at any stage, at any age in life begin to think that this job is catering to me and this is all I have. Nothing is, I am not bigger than this job. The job, no matter how fancy the designation, how big the salary, it's only going to bring out what you have. It's only an instrument. Another job is going to bring out another aspect of what you have, and that may be something you've not yet tapped into. And who knows, you could go in completely different directions. Yeah, so it's necessary to sort of look at yourself as longer than the duration of the job and bigger. There is much more to you. And the job is, in fact, proof that there were layers in you that you had not tapped into. So let's look at more. The third aspect is get support. When something like this happens to us, a job loss, we tend to shrink into ourselves. We think it's better not to talk about it. It's better to just be quiet. It's better to be inward, and other people won't understand. Sometimes we may fear that people might make fun of us. They won't get it, the extent of what we're feeling. They'll think less of us. Who am I? And these are all linked to who am I without this particular job, without this particular identity. And that can sometimes make us shrink. It's very important at this time to stay connected, to get support, to speak to maybe colleagues who have also been similarly laid off, to connect with seniors. Maybe they still have jobs, maybe they know of other jobs, but it's not also only to know about more jobs, it's to just stay connected, to keep building on those relationships that you already have. Speak to partners, speak to family, speak to your children also. Maybe you have to explain it to them why you're going to be home, what you're going to be doing, what this means to you. These are great opportunities by which to connect to the people around us. Sometimes we assume that people do not have empathy or do not have understanding and kindness, and you might find aspects that in them that you had not seen before, a side of them. Maybe you've always shown yourself to be the provider, to be the strong one. And when you turn to them for help, you might find that they might actually support you. They might see things in you that you have not noticed in yourself. Maybe they will tell you to, take some downtime, think about it, see where you want to go. They might have their fears and concerns that you might need to allay. So it's very important at this time to sort of connect, to build those relationships, because then you realize that you are not going through this alone. If there are fears, there are others also who have fears. If there are uncertainties, there are also others who have uncertainties. If there is a sort of networking, get enlisted into that. Find your circles of support, whether it's external, within the home, and you will find that the passage becomes much easier, not in terms of the problem disappears or goes away, but it's that you realize that it's not deeply personalized. It's not happening just to you. Everybody is suffering in their own way, and while that does not diminish your suffering in any way, there is a shared burden that allows you to go along this path together. The fourth aspect is see what you have. And I don't mean this in the way of gratitude, abundance, you know, just be grateful, count your blessings. I don't mean it in that sense. I mean very practically and pragmatically see what you have, see what your assets are, see what your bank balance is, see who you can count on for support, see where you can get a loan from, see the, also see the intangible. What are your skill sets? What are the things, maybe there's certain hobbies you've been doing, are there ways you can monetize that? For instance, somebody I know does a lot of gardening. Can they take classes? Can they start, selling very cute portable plants? There are, in this pandemic, we've seen people who've come up with their personal, pickle making home enterprises, which they've nicely branded and sort of sent out through mail order. There are a lot of avenues today for e-shopping, e-buying of these kind of things. A friend's daughter I know does scrunchies, from home, just a simple sewing machine and those kind of things. And she's selling over like 400 a week, which is an amazing within days. And she's come up with great marketing schemes to do this. These are all really inspiring. Somebody else I know does French classes online. If you go on websites like Insider, there are people teaching everything from magic to marketing, right? There are people teaching Mehendi, how to do mandalas, whatever, yoga. There are, look at the entirety of yourself as a skill set. What are the things that you even didn't think of? It could be how to pack lunch dabbas. It could be, how to negotiate, certain mm, aspects of work life that people within work maybe are still struggling with. So look at what you have, list out your entire skill set, everything that you know to do, that you feel confident about, that you feel passionate about, and start looking at ways in which you can work on these while you look out for your next opportunity. And the fifth and the last aspect is move. And I mean move both physically, mentally, and tangibly, right? Physically, get up, walk around, go for a walk, find things to do in the house. Don't sit in one place and stare at the computer, because movement is something that picks up momentum. Once the lack of movement sort of settles in, it can create a state of inertia that is very hard to pull yourself out of. Move in the mind, start doing whatever you can. Don't create those obstacles for your movement to yourself, saying, oh, it's rainy, it's a bad day, it's sunny, let me not go out. Go to the market instead of ordering from Big Basket. If that's all your movement in a day, get up, go down, buy two vegetables, and come back. If that's all you can manage for yourself, do that. If you can take a small walk, take a small walk. If you are not able to leave your house due to any restrictions, see if you can do 5 minutes of yoga. One thing I do for myself when I can't do anything else is I will do two Surya Namaskars first thing in the morning as soon as I jump out of bed. If I don't do anything else in the day, I will do that. So give yourself something that creates a sense of movement in you. The physical movement often translates to the mental and emotional movement. The mental movement is try different things, try in different directions, look at different recipes. I know that in many cases there is a lack of motivation to do this because you just feel like it's too much. You don't have to do a whole bunch of things. Pick up one thing and say, I'm going to try a new recipe today, something that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. If you're South Indian, make North Indian. If you're North Indian, make Oriya. If you're like Oriya, make Rajasthani. Try a pasta, try something you've never really cooked before. Watch a show that you've never seen before. Apply for jobs that you would not consider applying. Find ways in which to make a move. It could be opening a new social media account. I'm still not very familiar with Instagram. What they say in Hindi is hat pair chalao. In any direction, move your limbs, because this creates a very basic momentum that will keep you going in your most stuck moments. So have a movement scheduled for the morning, have a movement scheduled for the evening. Let it be something that takes you a very small amount outside your comfort zone. It could be, I'm going to put a YouTube channel post, a Facebook live, an Instagram. I'm going to read out a poem. You don't know what sticks, you don't know what touches a chord, you don't know what hits. In the social media era, everything is up for grabs. I see people on Instagram even just practicing their bassoon and having millions of followers. There's somebody else who's putting out their poetry in a very visual form. Anything could get you followers, could get you monetized, could find you unlocking a new skill, a new value system, moving in a different direction, connecting you with people who you didn't think you would be connected with. So move, do something. And before the doing nothing sort of settles in and becomes a mental state of mind, because then you will end up telling yourself that you are doing nothing. And the more you tell yourself you're doing nothing, the more it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. So it is very necessary to move. So I hope these 5 aspects really help you to find your feet. I know that a job loss is not so easy to overcome. Yes, what about EMIs? What about money? What about next month? What about kids' school fees? There may not be easy answers for any of these. But right now, the simple thing you can do is do what you can do and you to keep yourself going in this current moment. So look at the now and the broader picture will take care of itself. So thank you so much for listening. I hope these are helpful to you. I do take individual counseling sessions. Those of you who would like to, all the information is in the description box below. And also do reach out, do connect, do leave comments, questions, suggestions. And if you have further issues coming up that you'd like addressed, do leave them in the comments below and I will have a look at them.